Hello, 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 and welcome back to This Is Me Attitude Podcast with me, your one and only host, Rachel Nelson, just a girl in her 20s, trying to figure this crazy life out and bring you along the way every single step of the way. And today is no different as we dive in to a great conversation. Welcome back to This Is Me Attitude Podcast. I am so excited to say I have, another guest speaker on, and I know that has been the theme lately with the episodes, and I could not be more thankful. Today I get the opportunity of talking with Sherri, and her and I connected through social media, as that has been another common theme. I connect with a lot of the guest speakers through social media, and it has been truly amazing to see God work in my life in that way and in the podcast, and just seeing how God has worked in so many other people's lives. So I am very excited for this conversation, as her and I hit it off via Zoom a few weeks ago now, and now get to have this amazing conversation. So with that, welcome to the show, Sherri.
Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to talk to your audience. Well, hi, everyone.
Before we jump into the questions, I just want to make sure I give you enough space to fully introduce yourself if there's anything that I missed that you'd like to mention.
No, so my name is Sherri A. Robinson. I am originally from Chicago, Illinois. I still reside in Chicago. I am an author, self-published author, and now a life coach. So those are the many hats I wear.
I think it's cool that you are from Chicago, because I'm originally from Wisconsin, so it's
okay.
Close.
Midwest.
Definitely not the same, but close. I at least know where you're in, which is, when and how did you become a Christian / accept Jesus into your life?
Sure. So this is a really great question. I was born and raised in the church, but when did I actually become a Christian? I made the decision at about 12 years old that I wanted to get baptized. And I went through the classes, myself and my friend who was attending the church, the same church as I was at that particular time. And I knew that it was something that I wanted to do, and I did it. And, I understood what it meant, but, being at the age of 12, you're so young. And so I have gone through my life, and it was just actually last year I had this burden that I really wanted to be baptized again. Now that I'm an adult and have more of an understanding, and, kind of rededicate myself in that way. And so I found a church that was actually doing like a public baptism, and I went and got immersed and did everything. And so it was just really great to do that now as an adult, having a full understanding of life.
I can relate in that fact that I was actually baptized twice, because not that I don't think the first time counted, but the second time, like you said, like once you really know what you're saying yes to, it makes a huge, huge difference. And I can agree or understand that not all the time when we're kids we fully understand all the things. At least now that I'm in my 20s, I'm really starting to understand of like, oh, that's why mom and dad said something, or like, that's why this happened. And it's just really cool to see how God does work in each and every person's life differently, and that he has the patience with us, because I'm sure when you first went through all of that when you were 12, he was like, okay. And then now actually having the full understanding, like, I'm sure that makes him even more excited and more happy, because he knows that that you're in that spot of fully understanding even more. And it just shows your love towards the Lord even more. I'm honestly not sure where that part of me saying that came from, but I just felt like it needed to be added in there. Hopefully that's encouraging to the listeners as well.
Yes.
Where have you seen God work the most in your life?
God has done amazing things. I think for me, where I saw God really work the most was with my book. And I can say that because I had gone through married May 2021. That ended almost as soon as it started, unfortunately. And I was going through a healing process. And then the book really came about during the time that I was going through healing and being restored. And so I saw God just really, speaking to me during that time. Not that he doesn't speak to me other times, obviously, but it was just during that time where I was really able to be to myself, and him really able to, just get my attention. And so, like I said, that's where my book in and of itself was birthed during that process.
I know that we'll go a little bit further into your book a little bit later, so I won't push that forward too much yet. So, listeners, that's something that you can stay with us for. And I commend you in staying close and obedient to the Lord well through a very difficult season, and that it's not always easy following the Lord and listening to what He has for us, but He does bring us through the hard seasons, regardless of what that hard season can look like for each individual person. And for you, the listeners, if you are listening and thinking, oh, well, I've gone through all these different things, like how could God understand or how could He see? He does. It's just a matter
Definitely.
of when He'll show the different signs of Him seeing us, or and when I say signs, I mean like when we will be able to know that because He's always there with us, but sometimes it's
Yeah.
a little harder to see that He's always there with us, and that's
Mhm.
that when I said signs. Do you believe God has delivered you from something?
Well, I guess in line with the second question, I believe, yeah, God definitely delivered me through that period of time where I, easily could have given up on relationships and love and really felt like, okay, God is restoring me in this area because when you go through any type of like heartbreak or anything like that, it can discourage you. It can make you feel like there is no future. You might look at the situation for what it is and just think that's it. And so I think God has had to really deliver me from that mindset of not having any hope. Like our hope is in the Lord, not a relationship or individuals in Him. And regardless if the relationship works out or not, it's still our hope still needs to be in Him and what He's doing in our life.
Yes, I 100% agree on that. The fact that our true hope and happiness and all of that can really come from the Lord, and that's what He wants us to focus on in the hard times, in the hard seasons that I've been through, and knowing that He's just there with me and hearing my prayers, even sometimes if
Yeah.
it doesn't always feel like He answers them right away. Just the fact of knowing that He's there is really helpful. And listeners, I hope that you can take both of our stories and whatever aspects fit into your personal walk with the Lord. I hope that that is helpful and that will continue to encourage you to keep moving forward with the Lord. If you're maybe in a season of thinking, oh, I just haven't seen Him work and I don't know anymore, and I'm questioning my faith, that's when I want to encourage you to pray that specific thing. Like tell the Lord, like I just haven't heard you. And it's in those moments that He'll show up even more. I've had experience with that, and I know a few other people have as well. Another thing that I just felt like was needed to be said in there, so hopefully it will reach someone. Has your walk with the Lord affected or played a role in your business?
Definitely. I mean, the Lord has been the one who actually has inspired with both of my businesses. So my book is funny. I haven't even thought of it necessarily as a business. I mean, even though, I'm selling it, it's not free, but yeah, the idea of the book came through the Lord. And then with my life coaching, which is something that really was birthed this year, that was definitely the Lord speaking to me about really wanting to help women and work with women as well. So I would say definitely that the Lord has played a big impartation in what I'm doing. And I believe that, and this is just for the listeners, for the audience, that, whatever you're doing, that you take it up with the Lord, right? Like if you get an idea or, whatever it is, then go before the Lord about it and pray about it and, really seek His face about it and ask, Lord, is this what you really want me to do? Is this your will? And, allow Him to give you the answer back. A lot of time we just kind of want to go forth with things and, make sure you get God's stamp of approval, because when He gives you something to do, then He'll give you the grace to be able to do that thing. But if you jump out on your own, then, that's when you're going to find times where it's like, oh, this is not really working out or whatever the case may be. So that would just be, something that I would want women and men to, really think about when it comes to their lives and the things that you're doing.
Yes, yes, to all of that, because it is very important to make sure that you are fully walking with the Lord, and not every single idea that we get for maybe a business opportunity or really anything in life
Mm-hmm.
always comes from the Lord. Sometimes at first look of it, it could look like it's coming from Him and seem like it is, but then when you pray about it, He could tell you no. And
Yeah.
I really like that you added in there to pray about it, because we should be praying about everything. That is our direct communication line with the Lord. That actually kind of makes me almost chuckle too, because in my daily reading in my Bible, I've been in the
Mhm.
Old Testament, and this
Okay.
morning actually was talking about how because obviously Jesus wasn't on earth then yet, and how they had to sacrifice a bunch of different animals. And I'm just so
Mhm.
thankful that we live in a time where we can simply just talk to the Lord and not have to sacrifice an animal every time that we sin or mess up, because
Yes.
I feel like I would not find enough animals in the world for that. But that, I think, also just goes into what you're saying of just prayer is very important. And
Definitely. Yes, ma'am.
so, with that, can you explain a little bit more of your coaching business with the listeners?
Sure. So my coaching business, which, like I said, I just actually started this year. I work with women of faith who are having maybe some insecurities and unhappiness due to what we call toxic relationships. Those, and when I say the word toxic, it's basically just unhealthy. And you need and want some strategy and how to, kind of navigate those relationships. And so my goal in working with each individual woman is to basically just, I want to look at you from how God sees you. I want to, like I said, give you some strategies and like take you on a journey and help you during the 12 weeks, because that's the intention, to work with you actually for a full 12 weeks where we just kind of go through this journey together. And I'm praying and hoping on the other side of it, you learn how to kind of deal with these relationships and how to maintain them. Or if it's a relationship that you may say, okay, I don't want this relationship anymore, if that's your choice, to kind of like know how to deal with that as well.
Awesome. I love how you bring the biblical principles into it as well, of praying and, again, staying with the Lord on that aspect,
Yeah.
because there is different relationships and seasons of life that He will either progress a relationship or He'll close the door on it. And just having
Yes.
that helpful hand of a coach, or for you being the coach standing with people, that sounds like it would be very insightful and helpful and
Yeah.
encouraging, because I know that that can be a season of, depending on what it is, and it could be a lot of doors being closed, and that's not a very
Yeah.
exciting feeling for anyone.
Right.
So to be able to have someone sitting there with you, that is very helpful and encouraging. What made you decide to write your book, and what is the title of your book?
Sure. So the title of my book is Beauty for Ashes, The Actual Truth About Love. It's Not a Fairy Tale. And I think I had kind of mentioned it earlier, but I'll just reiterate. So basically me writing the book, like I said, was coming through a period of time when I was healing. I had gone through this relationship and got married and thought that, like most people, things going to work out, and it didn't. And so God really gave the book to me, I believe, to give me hope for my future. But also, the book itself, I look at several couples of the Bible from the Old to the New Testament, and I look at their actual love story. So, for example, I look at Adam and Eve. They're the first couple in the Bible, right? They're the first relationship that we see. And so I look at these two individuals, I look at their story, and I kind of bring a little modern day twist to it and ask you some questions to just get you to think about what you read. And it really, like I said, writing these stories, I had to read the Bible more. I had to actually read these stories, and they were stories I had read before, so it wasn't like that. But when I had to reread it, it really began to give me a renewed hope and restoration, for the future.
That is really cool, because I have obviously read the different relationships in the Bible, but I guess I haven't really thought a lot about the specific relationship between the
Mm-hmm.
people, more of just
Yeah.
like the story within the Bible of what they've
Yeah.
done, and what God did through them, and all of that. And I think that different perspective will also be helpful for the listeners, because then you can obviously read your book and then go back and reference the Bible each and every time,
Yeah.
all there. Then that's obviously where you got the information from. And
Yeah.
that's a really cool way to find another way to really look into your Bible and see what
Yeah.
is there and what God wrote centuries and centuries ago, but is still present today. What would you like the listeners to get out of our conversation today?
I think for me, the most important is to trust the Lord, and whatever God has put on your heart that you want to do. In my case, it was a book. For some people, it may be whatever it is, starting a business. It could be starting a new job, whatever it may be. I think the most important thing is to, put your trust in Him and to seek Him but also to believe in yourself. The book would have not been possible, obviously, without, the Holy Spirit giving me the idea for the book. But it also took me having to believe in myself and to know, okay, this is something that I could do, but also having people around you who support you. I'm thankful I had my mom, I had close family, friends, my dog, right? Even though she didn't do anything, but she was just there, I guess, as more support. In all seriousness, believing in yourself, because God believes in you. If he gives you an idea, and I call them downloads, right? If he gives you something that he wants you to do, he believes in you already. He knows that you have the capability, you have the ability to do it, because that we know that with God all things are possible. So it's not impossible for you to write a book if that's what God is telling you to do. It's just you believing in yourself enough to say, okay, I'm going to do this. And then everything else, I believe, will fall into place. You don't have to have it all together day one. You just have to, as Peter got out the boat, and you just have to take that one step, and then you just keep taking another step. And then God, he's continuously beckoning you and saying, okay, well, just keep going a little bit further. Just keep doing a little bit more. So that's what I think, if that's kind of a long answer to the question, but just that I would want people to really get out of our conversation today, because that's what has helped me to get to the place that I'm at now in my faith journey.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I think there's a lot of different aspects that we could highlight on that fact. And I totally understand having animals next to you while working on stuff is super beneficial. I have my cat and I love her. On the more serious side of things, like you were mentioning, the fact of, yes, God does give us the strength and the ability to do the things, but if we don't believe in ourselves, we can stop working on the plan that he's given us, and that's not going to help him. It's not going to help us.
Yeah.
And once God gives us a plan or a calling or whatever else that you would want to put in that aspect, that's something that we as believers need to, one, know that the strength comes from him, that we can't always do it on our own, and that if we just don't show up at all, like, that's not going to help grow or build the kingdom either, because maybe in you producing your book and writing it, that will bring new believers to Christ. And that's obviously our number one goal in everything that we do, because at the end of our time, like, we would love to see heaven as full as possible. And I think that is a huge thing for everyone that works in any capacity, if that's in a job or a business, or if you're like me and have a podcast. Like, that's why I talk to people on the podcast as well, is to hopefully share our stories and encourage someone else and go, oh, I've heard of God, or I've heard of God, and I've heard of these church things, but like, what does it really mean? Maybe hearing my testimonial or Sherri's testimonial or someone's, that you're like, I see it now, and like, I can see God's love, and that's what I want to step forward and actually have a relationship with him now. And I hope that in everything that we just mentioned, listeners, that there is one aspect of that you can pull out of today's conversation and go, wow, like, I truly see God's love in this, or I truly see that I need to pray more and see that I need to listen in all the different areas, or in this particular area. And if he is calling you to do a specific thing, I just want this to be encouragement and to show you that, yes, it might be scary, as I'm sure when Sherri was writing her book, she didn't have all of the things planned out in all of the areas yet, but she kept doing one step at a time, and God kept showing her what to do. Obviously, I wasn't a part of your writing experience, so if it wasn't exactly what I said, I'm sure it was something similar, though.
No, definitely. It's that exactly. Just one day at a time, one step at a time, and just allowing God to just, order my steps. Really.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. Sorry, I was trying to think of the right word to say at that, and it wasn't coming out at first. But it just shows that you are dedicated to the Lord and wanting to produce things that he will flourish and move forward with. And for some reason, the words are just not wanting to come out right away. So where can people find you after our conversation?
Sure. So my book, Beauty for Ashes, The Actual Truth About Love, is actually on Amazon. You can just type it in or type my name in and it will come up. My life coaching, I have a website, so I'm really excited about that, because that was one of the last things I wanted to really get together before I launched out. So my website is www.sherryrobinsenterprises.com. And you can find me online. I'm on Facebook, which is under my name. I'm on LinkedIn, which I'm under Arise and Shine Life Coaching LLC. And then where else am I? Instagram, also same name, Arise and Shine Life Coaching. And then you can always email me. Email is the same, Arise and Shine Coaching LLC at gmail.com.
It's been an amazing conversation. Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for coming on the
Thank
show.
you, Rachel. I appreciate it.
And just like that, we're at the end of another amazing episode. I first want to say a huge thank you to you, the listeners, for taking time out of your busy day, your busy schedule, your busy life to listen to what we have to say here on This Is Me Attitude podcast. I also want to say a huge thank you to Sherri for coming on, being vulnerable, and opening up about her story and everything that she has gone through. I truly believe that this conversation will be beneficial for all that have been able to hear it. I also want to remind you, the listener, that we have an email list now. Yes, we are getting up there in the world of podcasting, and I'm very excited to say that there is an email list for us. When you subscribe to the email list, you get a free gift from myself. Free gift is a Google document that has 10 steps in helping you grow your relationship with the Lord and helping you grow a biblical mindset. These 10 steps I have done personally in my walk with the Lord and have very, very, very much helped me, and I want to be able to help you as well. So please go below in the descriptions, subscribe to the email list, and you will get that in your inbox shortly. And until next time, never, ever, ever forget, God loves you.